Travis Wingoodsall. I had just finished a lunch, and then before that finished an hour-long video, and decided after I finished it that I wasn't going to post it. So that's in my sealed portion, and I'll redo it here and try to keep it around as close as possible to 10 minutes. It has to do with the sexual abuse of the prophets. You don't have to actually be involved with. Just cut my hair yesterday, so I'm on the alert for bad hair day. I'm having grown up in the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. We get abused by the prophets sexually over the pulpit of conference and by our bishops, which the one bishop sacrificed his membership to start the Protect LDS Children movement, which got the church to change. But in that change, the church is setting up for child bride marriages. So an even more abusive treatment of children, specifically girls. And for those of you who have not followed my channel, you are completely unaware that the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints is not Joseph's church. Joseph Smith was Jewish Kabbalah specifically, and it's right there in the Book of Mormon. It's right there in verse 19 of Joseph Smith's first vision. But the church has deceived us. And because they're evangelical in structure, they of course have to be sexually abusive by being idol worshiping. So images of women are evil. Thus the reason why women need to cover up, because their bodies are evil. And that of course abuses women, and Utah women are the highest per capita who take depression drugs. Thus the blatant obvious church's sexual abuse. But nobody ever makes the connection between the two. I do. It's very obvious. Being born and raised Mormon. Has had boys back in the pre-Protect LDS Children days. Our bishops were asking sexually explicit questions of us. And the church leaders were coming out and demanding that us boys turn it off. Having sexual desires is evil, and we have to be sealed in the temple in order to use it. And fortunately, in my day, the church stopped telling us how to have sex in the bedroom, that it only is missionary style and only for having babies. No other practice was allowed. No contraception. And definitely not abortion. And so it's sickening that people think that the church can change if they just put enough pressure on the church. Because the women's movement, ordained women, thought that they could do that. And the church excommunicated the leader. And then they now allow women to wear slacks. Really? You let that be your demand? The Joseph Smith Papers reveals that Joseph Smith's church gave women priesthood and priesthood office. I've done the videos. And if you have to change the church isn't true. And so even if you succeed in changing the church, it still doesn't have true authority. It's just a societal organization of religious morality. It has no basis in the church's concept of administrative authority. That's what people don't seem to understand. But despite the church allowing women to wear slacks and taking away the veil, they never changed the temple ceiling text. You're still a sex slave to your husband. And Nelson tricked you. In the law of chastity, he has now ordered polygamy. And so you have to divorce your husband. Your husband has to divorce you so that he can marry someone else. It's the loophole in the system. The church doesn't accept civil divorce. And so when you divorce your spouse, you're still sealed to them. And thus Nelson, telling you to follow the covenant path, is telling you to obey the law of chastity, which is number 4. And in the law of chastity, you have to practice polygamy. That's what it means by according to his law. That's the addition that Nelson put in. And it refers to Section 132 that was put in by Brigham Young the year before he died. And it was in retaliation for his latest divorce, throwing him in jail. He wanted revenge. So he thought, I'll blame Joseph for it, so that you won't see it as retaliation. But it was blatantly obvious, and the linguistic pattern matches Brigham Young's. And so, yeah, the church does not like women. It's only for sexual gratification and for a posterity, so that they can be exalted. The church will not grant you an education in the millennial Zion. You will not be able to have your career because you can't be trusted to exercise your agency properly. And so they've got to take away your agency. That's how they're going to justify it. Lucifer's plan of happiness because you're disobedient. And, have you ever been to a singles ward here in Utah? They're packed, and the majority of the attendees are women. Even though apparently the majority of less active men, as they now call it, are men in Utah. They just don't bother to go to church because of how the church weaponizes women as victims and then turns them as victims into the aggressors against Mormon men. And men don't like that. We don't want to be abused. We won't put up with it. Even though we do get suckered into marrying you because you're so cute. But over time, the abuse wears us down. Fortunately, in my particular case, both women left me. But yeah, a divorced person still is a stigma in Utah, despite the massive numbers of other Mormons who likewise are divorced, whether or not they got remarried or not. But before we're at 10 minutes. What spawned this revision was that I did a video yesterday about my having gotten a song from Pluto Nash. There's the club scene where Pluto meets Dinah, who is Rosaria Dawson. And I've always tried to figure out what is that song? Who sings that song? And I could never figure it out, could never find it. And found it yesterday. So that was cool. With the YouTube technology, which I didn't actually find it on YouTube. Well, no, I didn't. I had to actually use Google search to find it. YouTube was not cooperative. So I had to get the actual name of the group and the title of the song to find it on YouTube. But there's been a person who has been with me for years. One of the rare persons who can tolerate my videos. And he sent me an email showing what was considered a bad dress that Rosaria Dawson had worn to an awards ceremony. And so I responded in full defense of Rosario, flooding the screen with a whole bunch of other dresses that she's worn. And this is the field of study that I wanted to pursue as a little kid. Women's fashion design. But because of the sexual abuse by the church, my parents, likewise, were weaponized to try to prevent me from pursuing that education, to pursuing that career. And my first wife was a fashion designer. And she was telling me about how in New York, starting salary is $100,000. And so if I was allowed to pursue that course of education and career field, I'd be sitting pretty. You'd probably hear my name on the red carpet. Rosaria Dawson is wearing a Travis Wayne Goodsell. But it was started because my mom would get the Sears catalog, and so when the new one came, she'd plop the old one on the kitchen table, and she'd have us kids at the kitchen table, and we'd do collages, take out pictures and then make a collage on a piece of paper. And that's where I began to discover that there's women in the world. Who are these creatures? I'm fascinated. I want to know more. Yeah, obviously I knew about women, but I was fascinated by women's fashion design as a result. And yet, because of the shame and the guilt that the church weaponizes us with and gets other Mormons to weaponize against us with, to bully and to abuse us, I had to keep it a little sacred secret my whole life. And my mom had caught me one time. She had found my stash. She just burst into my room and went searching and found it. And so that was humiliating. But I remember in the 80s that because of the church's abuse, despite my mom knowing that I had an interest in women, My dad, because of my uncle deciding to throw away his family and become gay, thinking that, well, I didn't want to work on the farm as a kid. I wanted to stay at home and do women's work. Therefore, I must be gay. Psychology is so evil. Stay away from them. We need to ban them and lock them all up. They should have been tried at Nuremberg. But we gave them asylum and they started working with the CIA. And now look what they've done to us. We're about to be destroyed because they wanted revenge. But we're not talking about their abuse in this video. That's the sealed portion video. So yeah, my dad came into my room. He had bought a Farrah Fawcett poster. How are you going to explain this to Mom? And he was showing it to me, shoving it in my face. Do you think she's beautiful? Do you find her attractive? Do you? No, I don't like cougars. He didn't understand that. He just thought she's female, therefore I need to be attracted to her. He didn't catch on that I was more into Jennifer Connelly, Labyrinth Girl, and redheads. But yeah, when parents are not involved in the kid's life, they don't know their kids. They don't know what their kids like, and thus they don't know what to help facilitate for the kid's career, to help them guide them into that direction. Which, if the church wasn't so abusive, and thus my parents weren't so abusive, they could have helped me pursue that career. But instead, I had to let my parents believe that I was pursuing a sports career. And so my dad came to me one day and said, you do know that out of the 1,000 jobs in baseball, that only 1 in a billion actually get into the majors. And so you're wasting your time playing sports. And so, yeah, okay. I wasn't planning on becoming a sports hero. But yeah, my dad helped solidify that. But he didn't help me and guide me into a career field that I wanted to go into. Which, if he knew, he wouldn't have shoved Farrah Fawcett in my face. He would have bought me a whole bunch of women's fashion magazines so that he would help me. And then I could do the designs, and they would have given me the Christmas gift instead of my sisters, the fashion plates, which that did survive. So, yeah. But, yeah, you've got Christians online who purposely sabotage sites for women, and you got YouTube who shame women who are doing fashion videos, and especially attack me because I'm a guy. I can't do that. I can't look at their channels. It's just evil. And so yeah, I'm the perfect guy, hint hint, because I would love to go shopping with women and watch them do a fashion show for me and do photos and video shoots and all that stuff. But you gotta be married to a woman who's not been abused by the church and who's not been weaponized by the church to abuse the man. So that's been a major problem of the church, but I've warned you, they will place you into bondage. Women will no longer be allowed to have a career field, to pursue an education, because why? You're a breeder. That's all they want you for. So, It's coming, and they're setting up for it. And I've been warning you, and I'm losing my audience because you don't believe. You're going to be hit the hardest because you don't believe. You're going to go through the biggest shock. See, whereas those who left the church, who are angry at the church for their sexual abuse, yeah, they're not going to be surprised when it happens. They're going to be surprised when the church forces them back into slavery. I saw that. That was a video I did where I can't remember. I think it was some outside source trying to explain the church and saying that those who are not faithful will be forced to be in a harem of a Mormon man. And it was talking about the afterlife, but no, they're planning this for the millennial kingdom, guys. And so if you're not Mormon and you don't want to go back to church, sorry. The only other option for you is death, because Brigham Young said so. Blame Joseph for it. Section 132. It's all right there. He was pissed getting arrested. He wanted revenge. So, just, women, please love yourself. Start there. Quit being mean to each other. Women tend to be the meanest to each other. And don't listen to the men who want to be with you. He wants to be with you because he finds you attractive. So why don't you believe him?